Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, October 24th. I call this meeting to order and declare that a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I made the motion.
Second.
I got a motion by Ramsey, second by Reverend Spann. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda is approved. Please join me in welcoming Kyra Dickerson and Will Ramey that will deliver the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and then we'll have a moment of silence following that. Everyone, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving to agenda item 1D, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of October 10th, 2017?
I made the motion.
All right. Motion by Ramsey, a second by Reverend Spann. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving to agenda item 2A, the Head Start budget expenditures report for September 2017, the Head Start credit card report for September 2017, and prospective new hires. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Head Start budget expenditures report for September 2017, Head Start credit card report for September 2017, and prospective new hires.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Lee, second by Mr. Ramsey. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is approved. Moving to agenda item 3A, special recognitions. Dr. Kelly Wolf. Or Katie, sorry.
Good evening. We're now at our Legacy Builder Special Recognitions. And to assist me tonight with introducing our first Legacy Builder is Dr. Kevin O'Gorman.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ingram, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to recognize Dr. Kelly Wolf tonight. Come on up here while I talk good about you. So Dr. Wolf is no stranger to Berkeley County School District. She's been here for many, many years, has been director for 6-7 years now. She received the Richard Cuffell Memorial Outstanding Contributor Award a few weeks ago, unbeknownst to her. The rest of us knew about it, but she didn't. She was in Columbia and received that award. That award is presented to an individual who's made a significant contribution to the field of career education and transition through means other than just direct classroom instruction. She spearheaded a partnership with Berkeley County government on October 9th, got approved for a brand new program for our students with special needs. She is the greatest advocate for students with special needs that I've ever met. And if you don't believe that, just spend 5 minutes talking to her, and you'll hear that clear as a bell. Also is helping spearhead a program to join our Gen Ed and Special Ed instructional strategies to meet the needs of all students, not just students with special needs. So just want to thank her for all the work that she's done for our students in Berkeley County. We can give her a round of applause now.
And for our second recognition, I'll ask Mr. Tim Knight to introduce our next recipient.
Thank you, Ms. Katie. Vice Chair Dr. Ingram, board members. It's my honor to introduce to you a man that really needs no introduction. Hanahan Police Department Sergeant Ricardo Perry. With Sergeant Perry tonight is Hanahan Police Department Chief Dennis Turner and Hanahan City Administrator Mr. Johnny Cribb. Sergeant Perry recently received the Officer Gregory Aaliyah Award. Officer Aaliyah was a Forest Acres police officer who was tragically killed in the line of duty in 2015. Following his death, Officer Aaliyah's wife, Cassie, founded the nonprofit organization Heroes in Blue, which supports families of officers killed in the line of duty and promotes good relationships between police and the community. The award is given annually to an outstanding officer who demonstrates a commitment to serve his community with respect and compassion and consistently goes above the call of duty. Sergeant Perry currently oversees the Youth Services Division and the School Resource Officers in the City of Hanahan. His primary responsibility is to continue engaging the city's youth and to encourage positive character and servant leadership. Sergeant Perry, thank you for your commitment and dedication to the Berkeley County School District.
I just want to say thank you to the City of Hanahan for allowing me to do the work that I do. Also want to thank the Berkeley County School District for allowing me to work in your schools. Oftentimes, you heard of the program, it's called Distinguished Gentlemen's Club. A lot of times when people hear it, they think of a building with no windows. But one day you guys are going to hear that name and think of young men who set the standard. So thank you.
All right, congratulations, Dr. Wolf, Sergeant Perry, and that concludes our legacy portion tonight.
The next item is citizens' comments. We do not have any citizens' comments tonight, so we will move to agenda item 5A, local board course approval, newspaper second reading. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve courses newspaper 2, newspaper 3 CP, newspaper 3 honors, newspaper 4 CP, newspaper 4 honors for elective credit as submitted by administration for second and final reading.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Who's the second? Mr. Wright. All right. And I forgot, Dr. O'Gorman.
Good. I'm just here to answer any questions.
Any questions, discussion?
Have there been any changes since our last meeting?
Amen.
No further discussion. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to agenda item 5B, local board course approval yearbook second reading.
So I submit for approval courses yearbook 2, yearbook 3 CP, yearbook 3 honors, yearbook 4 CP, yearbook 5 honors, 4 honors for elective credit. At this time, we've had no changes since last week.
Do we have a motion?
I make the motion to approve courses yearbook 2, yearbook 3, CP, yearbook 3 honors, yearbook 4 CP, and yearbook 4 honors for elective credit as submitted by administration for second and final reading.
I second.
I've got a motion by Ramsey, second by Condor. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item C, emergency medical service 2 textbook adoption second reading.
So I submit to you the adoption of textbook Health Center 21 for use in emergency medical services 2. I've had no questions or concerns since last board meeting.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the textbook Health Center 21 for the use in emergency medical services 2 as recommended by teacher committee to the chief academic officer.
Do you have a second? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item 6A, monthly general fund budget update, September 2017.
Good evening, Vice Chair, Dr. Ingram, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. This evening's presentation will include revenues and expenditures for all of our funds through September 30th. There we go. So for general fund budget, year to date, we have received $35.2 million, and most of this is from our EFA funding. In expenditures, we've spent close to $48.4 million, and the next slide will have this broken down by the different functions that we report on. So for instruction, which includes all of our teachers and teachers' assistants, salaries and benefits has been the bulk of our expenditures through September 30th. Purchase services includes Kelly Services and special ed consultants at $1.4 million. Supplies and materials at $860,000. And about $300,000 of this is classroom supplies that has already been spent. The capital outlay at $7,236 is Philip Simmons Furnishings. And then pupil services at $35,000 is for mental health counselors at several schools throughout the district. So our total expenditures for the instruction function is $20.6 million. For support services, which includes all of our school staff, as you can see, most of the expenditure here is our salaries and benefits. We spent close to $404,000 on SROs. Now this includes purchase orders. So even though we haven't actually spent that, I include that in these totals as a purchase order amount. So we've got our Kelly Services, we've got custodians, and our SROs. Supplies and materials, $112,000, which is relatively low for this time of the year. No capital outlay at this point. And for pupil services, we've got $131,000, which includes non-revenue sports, some travel, and some sports medicine purchase orders. So the total support services expenditures year to date are at $9.4 million. For support services at the district level, most of this is salaries and benefits. But the next line item, purchase services at $7.3 million, includes utilities, software, equipment maintenance, travel, legal, and audit. The next line item, supplies and materials for $2.2 million. That includes technology replacement items. And then we've got our capital outlay, which is for some new servers that have been purchased for the district. Pupil services at $50,000, and then transfers. So the total support services expenditures year to date are $18.3 million. Total expenditures year to date for general fund are $48.4 million. Overall, this budget is in line and in a good financial state. For special revenue, we've received year to date $2.1 million. Most of that is from the state sources for CDEP. On the expenditure side, we spent $4.4 million. Most of that is, of course, salaries and benefits. But on the purchase services line, you'll see just over $1 million, and that includes our special ed site licenses, as well as contracted services. Supplies and materials at $567,000. Nothing for capital outlay at this point. Other objects, $639,000, and that includes memberships, membership dues and subscriptions. We've got our transfers. So overall expenditures for special revenue at this point is $4.4 million. This budget is in line and in a good financial state. The EIA fund, year to date, we've received $5.3 million from the state. Expenditures are at $4.3 million. We've got our salaries and benefits at $1.1 million, our purchases at just under $2 million for our technology services. Supplies and materials at $896,000. That's teacher supply checks. And then we've got our capital outlay for $333,000. That's in CTE equipment. Got transfers. So overall, our total expenditures are $4.3 million. Here again, this budget is in line and looks very good at this point in the year. Capital projects. We've received year-to-date $18.1 million. As you know, we had about $2.9 million in carryover from last year, and then we recently had a bond sale that was about $15.1 million. That was the 8% bond sale that we just did. Expenditures at this point are up to $9.5 million. We've got some salaries and benefits. We've got purchase of services at $3.9, supplies and materials at just under $2 million, and of course, capital outlay $3.5. And most of these are the ongoing capital projects that are occurring in our district at this point. But overall, this budget is in line and in a good financial state. And then our bond referendum. Year to date, we've received all of the funding that we're going to receive for the bond referendum at $81.7 million. I would like to point out this is a multi-year budget. The expenditures year to date are $58.6, and of course, most of this is coming from capital outlay to finish out the projects for the Berkeley Education Center, Bowens Corner Elementary, as well as Fox Bank Elementary. And then child nutrition. Year to date, we've received $2.6 million. Most of that is from our federal source. And expenditures year to date are at $2.8 million. The bulk of the expenditures are obviously food purchases from supplies and materials. We've got some capital outlay for some new kitchen equipment. And then other objects where it says $25,000, that's for some new uniforms that were purchased. So expenditures year to date are $2.8 million. And there again, this budget looks really good at this point in the year and is in line with what we've presented. Any questions or discussions about any of the PowerPoints? Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to human resources, matter 7A on the agenda, second reading of policy BA, board operations for revision. This is a policy, both of these policies we had a lot of discussion on and a lot of amendments on, and I believe the policy is kind of in line with our prior discussion. Do we have a motion to approve the second and final reading of policy BA, board operations for revision?
I made the motion.
Second.
All right. We have a motion. Any discussion about this particular motion? I know our counsel is here to answer any questions we may have.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I wanted to make sure that excuse me, the public is aware of the revised part of the policy that we had discussion with last meeting, which dealt with the employees of the school district being restricted with their comments to the school board. That was revoked, that was changed, and as I understand it, the policy that we have now is basically the same as it was with respect to employees and citizens speaking before the board. I'm assuming that that is correct, and that there were not any other additions or deletions to any part of the policy.
Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Bear, that is substantively 100% accurate. There were 2 commas I thought the policy deserved. I could not stand but to insert, and I changed one which to a that, a that to a which or something like that. Substantively, it's in there. As I understood the minutes, and Penny did a wonderful job with the minutes, I incorporated both the policy and the rule as one and folded it into BA, but except for 2 commas and a that, it is exactly the same. And the 2 commas do not make a difference to the interpretation of the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Whitley. So I'm assuming that that was the only revision, and there were no other changes with respect to any part of the policy as we agreed to on first reading.
One other cosmetic thing that I that you will notice in your packet. On first reading, each of the operations policies were bullet pointed, and I put alphabet numeration in it so that when we were referring to, for example, the standing committee's portion of the policy, you could refer to J instead of number 7 bullet point. So we changed it cosmetically in that regard. We also incorporated school board member Reverend Span's amendment that addressed the approval of outside counsel by the entire board instead of the chairperson. With those changes, that is the entirety of the difference between first reading and second reading.
So no other substantive changes?
None other, no, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, we have a motion to approve for second and final reading policy BA, board operations, as amended from first reading and provided in our board packet. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 7B, which is basically a reading of policies recommended for deletion in light of our adopting policy BA. Do we have a motion for deletion or repeal of the prior policies?
I made the motion.
Second.
All right. All right, we've got a motion and a second to repeal on second reading the following board policies: BB, BBA / BBAA, BBAAA, BBAB, BBB, BBBA, BBBB, BBBC, BBBE, BBCA, BBD, BBE, BBF, BC, BCAB, BCBG, BCBH, BCBI, BCBK, BF, BH, BHA, BHAB, and BJ. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat that again. I gave David that motion, but Michael jumped the gun.
That's what I think is good. We're all supposed to do it.
That's right.
That's okay, Michael. I was supposed to read them, but that's all right.
Moving on to agenda item 8, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and board members, members of the audience. We lost a family member of Berkeley County Schools recently, Dr. Judith E. Delicole. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce that name correctly. She was in our staff development office for many years, and she passed away recently. She's survived by her husband, Dr. Hubert Delicole, daughter, Kristen Delicole, who's a teacher at Marrington Middle, and grandsons, Joel Taylor, Benjamin Taylor. Joel is a student at Stratford High, and Benjamin, a student at Marrington Middle. So certainly we offer our condolences and support to the Delicole family. Last night we had a parent meeting asking for the characteristics that our community would like to see for the next principal, or the first principal of Fox Bank Elementary School. I want to thank Katie Ty and her staff for hosting the meeting over at Whitesville Elementary. We didn't have a strong turnout, but that was probably due to the weather. But we are going to be collecting stakeholder comments through surveys and obviously conversations. If any community member wants to weigh in, certainly feel free to call us, and we'll certainly make sure that your comments are taken into consideration. We will start that interviewing process relatively soon after we complete the meeting, not just for Fox Bank, but later this week we have one for Bowen's Corner. Today I met with elementary principals and their PLC, talked about lines of communication, talked a little bit about a design team to help with helping identify innovations for our school district. We just floated that idea for a little bit. I believe you have to build relationships with principals, not just individually, but also as groups, elementary, middle, and high, and then get the groups talking together. The best innovations, in my opinion, come from the bottom up. So we're working to structure things that way, and we're excited about that. And I want to thank Natalie Locklear for hosting that at Bonner Elementary. Thursday evening, we are holding another parent meeting, this time for Bowen's Corner. That meeting will be held at Goose Creek Primary School. That meeting begins at 6 at Goose Creek Primary. And again, we're going to repeat the process to try to identify characteristics that the community would like to see in the principal at Bowen's Corner. So we invite you out to that. We are planning our board retreat. You've heard about it. I'm having a phone call with our facilitators, Dr. Andy Overstreet and Dr. Johnson. Mr. Whitley has graciously offered his office, or accepted my begging of using his office for that call, as I have some scheduling conflicts. I'll be talking with them. Also on Friday afternoon from 4:30 to 6:30, the town of Monk's Corner is holding a Halloween festival at Unity Park, Main Street. And Main Street will be closed from Carolina Avenue to Railroad Avenue for the event. The Office of Federal Programs will have a table and will be handing out reading and math activities using pencils and candy. So if we can't lure them with pencils, I'm sure the candy will work. Friday night, I'll be attending the hotly contested Berkeley-Cane Bay game at Cane Bay. I understand a lot is riding on that, and I can't wait to see those two teams clash. I want to thank Dr. Jim Spencer and his staff for hosting us at this wonderful facility, and students Kyra Dickerson and Will Ramey for their participation. You know, the students are the reason that we're here in this wonderful facility. The adults make challenging and difficult decisions sometimes, but when we put our heads together and roll up our sleeves, great things can happen like this facility. So Dr. Spencer, thank you for hosting us this evening. Mr. Vice Chair, board members, that concludes my report this evening. Teacher forum, thank you, Penny. I would get raked over the coals later if I didn't do this. My apologies, Nick, as always. Still waiting on an invitation. I'll be glad to come to your class. Thank you. Carrie Nichols, Cane Bay Elementary School. Carrie, thank you so much for being here from the teacher forum tonight. Patty Fisher, Daniel Island School. Patty, thank you very much. Christine Mims, Sangaree Intermediate. Thank you, Christine, for being here. And Morgan Warner, Sangaree Elementary School. These are the folks that really make things go. And it's impossible to have great schools unless we have great principals and great teachers to lead our children. I've always said that those are the most important positions we hire, and I mean that with every fiber of my soul. So thank you for what you do. My granddaughter is currently excited in second grade. She's not in this state, but nevertheless, she's going to be the product of the efforts of lots of good teachers. And believe me, I don't take that lightly. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Mr. Vice Chair and board members, I think now that actually concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess now it's the Vice Chair report. Sally.
Vice Chair.
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
No, you call me Vice Chair. You good.
Mr. Chair, may I comment?
Sure.
Dr. Ingram, you just made a report, and my heart goes out to the Deli Coley family. Mm-hmm. We talked about doing something for fallen comrade in one of our previous board meetings. I believe it's time that our district as a whole will recognize those individuals who died doing service in Berkeley County School District. And just to mention the name, I think is just not enough to serve justice to those individuals who serve. So I pray that we would come up with something more than that for those individual families.
And we have been in discussions about that, Reverend Spann. I appreciate that comment. I couldn't agree more. I could tell my own stories of my own family, but I won't bore the audience with them. But that is absolutely something that we should do, because people give so much of their lives and their time on earth to dedicate to our school district, and we certainly need to do that. So we are in discussions about what we can do that would be more permanent and appropriate.
Any other comments, questions for the superintendent? Moving to the board vice chair report. Ms. Walford is not with us today because she had work obligations out of town that she couldn't get around. She had nothing to report for the upcoming dates and events. I will say that this past weekend I attended the Philip Simmons Fall Festival. It was a really good event. Congratulations to Principal Dixon and Lisa Kearns for running that event. They raised $14,500 at the trunk or treat, so pretty cool. you haven't been to it, you ought to go. There's a dunk tank, and the principals get in the dunk tanks. The sheriff gets in there. It's a good time. So I'll make my comments brief. All right, moving on to agenda item 10, executive session. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session for the discussion of pending employment matters, including the appointment of an administrator, 2 student attendance appeals, and 2 expulsion appeals?
So moved.
All those in favor of entering into executive session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are now in executive session. All right, we've got a motion and a second. I will note for the record that no action was taken in executive session. All those in favor of returning from executive session back to regular session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're now back in regular session. Is there any action required from executive session?
Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Vice Chair, it's the recommendation of the administration that Ashley Smith be named as the new Chief Financial Officer with the contract to take effect November 1, 2017.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board accept the recommendation that Ashley Smith be named as the new Chief Financial Officer with a contract to take effect November 1st, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations. All right, other action from the executive session. We have 2 attendance appeals that will be taken up at the same time. Is there a motion on student attendance appeals number 1 and 2?
Madam Chair, sorry, Mr. Vice Chair.
Sorry.
Sorry. I'm used to
I've got
saying
longer
Madam
hair.
Chair. It's late. I make a motion to deny the appeals of students 1 and 2.
Second. All right. There's a motion to deny the attendance appeals of students number 1 and 2. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so what was that? 6-2, motion to deny the appeal of students number 1 and 2 is successful. All right, moving to student expulsion appeals. Student number 1, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I move that student number 1 be required to attend the alternative school with the stipulation that the student be required to enroll in and complete the SKIP program prior to the completion of the graduation requirements and before graduation is in order.
Second.
All those in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes. Is there a motion for the expulsion appeal of student number 2?
I make a motion that we accept the expulsion appeal for student number 2 and allow the student to return to their home school on strict probation.
Second. All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of allowing student number 2 to return to their home school on strict probation, please respond by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Is there any other business needed from executive session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Made the motion.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.